Hello again, everybody. This is Ed with another episode of Call Me Mr. Broadstreet. Well, this week I decided to dig into the archives a little bit and review an album that may not be super rare, but it has been out of print since about the early 90s, and it features two exclusive songs to the collection that have yet to see official release since the CD and vinyl was released back in 1989. So this week we're doing George Harrison, Best of Dark Horse, 1976 to 1989. Dark Horse Records, this was George Harrison's label that he had started back in the mid-70s. So this compilation, it was issued on October 17th of 1989. Really a lot of good songs, good selection of songs here. First of all, I would rate it essential. You're definitely getting a wealth of material, a great sampler of definitely some hit material between those years of 1976 to 1989. And also there's quite a few tracks on here that are issued in their single formats, as opposed to the formats that show up on the LP releases or later CD releases. So that alone, I think, is worth the price of admission for this particular collection. So again, you've seen the pictures. I think interesting album cover art. You've got that deep blue background, of course, with the kind of yellow or gold lettering on the package itself. And I've had the CD for a while. Like I said, it's not super rare. It is out of print, but in a lot of cases, you can pick it up at a at a used CD store if you happen to run across a copy. Again, just to have that and to add that to your collection, highly recommended. Chart-wise, now it only reached about 132 in the U.S. Billboard Top 200 albums. So again, it's kind of a shame because a good wealth of material is here, and again, those two exclusive tracks. So just going to kind of dive into some of the favorite tracks here. We start with a new song that's specific to this collection that has yet to be re-released in any digital format or on any subsequent collection or best of or box sets. Poor Little Girl. Now, a lot of good lyrics in this one. I think a really great song. There's lines in here that I'm going to read from the lyric book here. Let's see, that really always stood out to me. Even from the first moment I heard it, probably way back in the early 90s is when I got it. I want to say Tower Records, most likely. The place of the lost Gen X youth, if you will. They always had a great selection of things. But one of the, a passage from the lyrics, there's a whole lot of love shaking inside of me, and I must figure out why it's there. There's a bottomless heart hooked into all of you, and it's wondering how much you care. There's a need and desire I have to express what's inside of me. I must figure it out while it's still there. Very impassioned vocals by George. I think a great kickoff to the album. Let's not forget that at this point, George had made the commercial comeback with Cloud 9 in 1987, certainly with the #1 cover song, Got My Mind Set on You. Yes, it's a cover song. George didn't write it, but he certainly made its own between his version and the original 1962 version. People remember George's, version of Got My Mind Set on You. So at this point, he may have been working on material, but he's only got these two new tracks, and this is the first one that kicks off the album. You get the track Blow Away, which I reviewed on the 1979 George Harrison album. And before I kind of continue, a lot of the album's covered, so it's basically 33 1/3 from 1976, George Harrison's self-titled album from 1979, Somewhere in England from 1981, Gone Troppo from 1982, Cloud 9 from 1987, and the Lethal Weapon 2 soundtrack from 1989. There is one song from that contained here. So again, with that second track, Blow Away, again, very pleasant track. I've reviewed it on my George Harrison review from the 1979 album. Go ahead and check that one out if you haven't in my past archives. I think you'll enjoy that. Let's see, That's the Way It Goes. I'm going to do a little bit more of a review. That's from Gone Troppo. That does have its 40th anniversary coming up, so I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper. So kind of skipping ahead with that. And then we get the third track here, which, or the fourth track, I'm sorry, which, looking through, Cockamamie Business. That's a word that doesn't really get used by probably anyone under 75, I imagine. Maybe anyone under 85, I don't know. But again, some good lyrics. I think the new track, Poor Little Girl, is probably the better of the two tracks. But certainly, it's basically like an autobiographical song of George's time in the business up to that point. Got My Face on Ed Sullivan, Broke My Heart on the Soul Train, Introduced to Bad Company, Lost Cells Down the Brain Drain. It's very much, okay, I'm recounting the good times, the bad times. Kind of a good rhyme scheme here. Again, it's, talking a bit about the Beatles years, the ups and downs that he had throughout his career. So again, very, very nice track. Wake Up My Love from the Gone Troppo album. I'll review that more, but that's always been a favorite track of mine. Really impassioned vocals. Great synthesizer work from that 1982 album. It was actually the lead single. But as we're just flipping through, of course, you've got My Mind's Set on You. Again, the #1 hit I covered in my Cloud 9 album review. Crackerbox Palace. That's from the 33 1/3 album. Again, I want to say top 20 single, if not top 10. I'm trying to remember right now with Crackerbox Palace, but I want to say top 20 in the U.S. Certainly a great song, great video. Get the title track from Cloud 9. Here Comes the Moon from George Harrison's 1979 album. Again, I reviewed that more in depth on that particular album. Gone Troppo from the Gone Troppo album. When We Was Fab. Again, a really great track. Really reflecting on his time in the Beatles. Great video, by the way. Fantastic video. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check out the video. Really cool song that sounds like it could have come from circa 1967 or 1968. That's off of Cloud 9 from 1987. The video, contrary to some internet rumors, no, Paul does not appear in the video. Although you get Ringo in the video, you get Jeff Lynne in the video, so very much Jeff Lynne's production. And that's the other thing with these tracks. I mean, the later tracks especially, yes, they do have a big Jeff Lynne sound to them. But it works. I think it works for the two new tracks. It kind of ties everything together. You get the song All Those Years Ago. That was a #2 hit in 1981 for George. That features Ringo on drums and actually Paul and Linda McCartney on backing vocals and Denny Lane somewhere in the mix. Again, rewritten rather as a tribute to John, who was tragically killed in December of 1980. You get the one of the final tracks, really the final track, Cheer Down. That's from the Lethal Weapon 2 soundtrack. You're going to hear that on the end credits. Again, just I guess one of George's expressions that he always got told when he got a little too excited, a little too happy. I mean, people would say to me, cheer down, George, cheer down. In spite of being the so-called quiet Beatle, he actually had a lot to say and was quite funny and witty in conversations, certainly in interviews. Those are among the reasons that we really miss him. It's just sad that this, seems to be some of the last new material, at least before the 2001 album, Brainwashed, which was issued, actually in 2002 after George's passing in late 2001. Again, he's missed, certainly a lot of tracks to recommend here. Now, I know you're probably going to have a lot of these with streaming, with download, understandable. But again, if you could find this copy, I mean, a whole bunch of these different tracks, specifically, I think, Love Comes to Everyone. I think that's the single version versus the album version that you're going to find. I'm just trying to think of other tracks that definitely have a an edit to them for the single versions that were issued to radio at the time versus the slightly longer album tracks in some cases. And not specific to George himself either. Other artists have done it. The one I can think of off the top of my head is David Bowie certainly from the 1983 Let's Dance album, 1984 Tonight album. Again, certainly you had the single versions versus the longer album versions of some of the tracks. But with George, the same thing. Again, highly recommended. Essential if you can find a copy and pick it up. Really not that expensive if you can find it in a physical store. Again, really fun to have. I've always enjoyed popping this one in from time to time. I just really great collection. And again, I hope that those two songs that are specific to this collection, the first track and the fourth track, Poor Little Girl and Cockamamie Business, do find their way onto some sort of digital reissue. Certainly if there's another box set. I think a lot of Harrison fans in particular, I know I would love to have some of this stuff, put onto a subsequent box set, kind of tying his whole career together. I think that's been the problem with some of the later compilations. You're getting some of the greatest hits, sure. You're going to get some of the greatest hits featured on here. But really, doing justice to George's entire catalog, and certainly, in my opinion, releasing a lot of stuff that's still in the vaults. There's got to be stuff from the 1974 Dark Horse tour I know that we'd love to see, and I think is coming, if the rumors are true, at some point. But certainly in the Harrison camp, I think they could speed up production with a lot of this unreleased material. But again, very enjoyable, essential to have. Pick up a copy. I highly recommend it. Go ahead and listen to that track, Poor Little Girl. I think, again, some really insightful, great lyrics that's always captured me. Definitely worth having and having on this collection. So that's it for this week. I'm going to see everybody on the next review. Hope everybody's staying cool during the summer. And if you're enjoying my content, please make sure to give a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. I always appreciate, again, current subscribers, the new subscribers out there that are following. Thank you so much for following the channel. That's just about it, really. So until next time, I'll see everybody. Bye.